There are two things that are absolutely true. Grandma loves you, and she would never say no to McDonald's. So treat yourself to a Grandma McFlurry with your order today. It's what Grandma would want. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's for a limited time.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
It's happened! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
He struck him out looking! It's over!
There's no better day on the baseball calendar than opening day, and there's no better way to celebrate opening day than with a win. I'm Mitch Vareldis here for Believe in Texas Rangers, Episode 2 of the 2024 season, coming to you following a Texas Rangers victory on opening day, a victory where they celebrated not only the start of the 2024 season, but the major accomplishment that they came home with at the end of the 2023 season. So, that's where we'll start. Professional talker here. They celebrated with the trophy, the World Series trophy. They hung the banner. They had the very nice uniforms, very good use of the gold trim. I will add, I know there's been a lot of flack given about the jerseys this year for reasons that have nothing to do with like the color or design or anything like that. But these were clean. These were fantastic to look at as far as completeness of a uniform and that little gold trim just around. And then when they're wearing the blue hats and it's the full gold tee, it just looks great. So as far as presentation was concerned, that was great heading into tonight. And then the way that they presented it, Bruce Bochy's speech before the game, he brought the trophy out with Josh Sborz, who got the final out. Like everything about the way that they reminded us that they are the reigning World Series champions. Everything about that was perfect. Everything that the Rangers did that way was perfect. And then there was the game itself. There was a lot of good. Obviously, they won. But there was plenty of like ticky-tack stuff that makes you wonder, is that going to improve? Is that going to change? Is that going to get better going forward? So we'll start with a negative, but then we'll go to a positive because, of course, they won. And I don't want this to be a negative podcast reacting to day one. There's no overreactions, even though this is probably the overreaction pod. So let's start with Nathan Eovaldi. Started pretty well. He got a quality start today. 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, a walk. What jumps out to me, though, is 3 strikeouts. And Nate is very much a strikeout pitcher. And Nate was doing one thing not super duper well that he had normally done well in most of his other successful starts, and that's the swing and miss. Eovaldi got just 6 swing and miss strikes tonight. Now, am I looking too deep into the numbers and the specifics of how Nate Eovaldi got his strikes? Probably. But he's a strikeout pitcher, first and foremost. Secondly, he's the team's best active pitcher right now because a good chunk of the rotation is on injured list. We'll get to that later. So you need Nate to go out there and have dominant performances. And not to say tonight wasn't dominant, but it didn't feel like a Nate Eovaldi performance. A Nate Eovaldi performance feels like a bit more than 3 strikeouts, right? There was the control of the score and giving this Rangers offense plenty of reason to be able to stay in the game, right? But Nate just didn't have the strikeout stuff tonight. Now, is that going to be a trend? I don't think so. Is it going to lead to poor performance in his next start? I don't think so. This will be a situation where it's just something to monitor going forward. It's not like he was struggling in spring to get strikeouts or anything like that. But tonight was kind of a struggle to get the strikeouts, more so the swing and the miss. And the Cubs have had some pretty hefty strikeout performances, at least last year. I know the lineup's a little bit different this year, and they got a new manager, and they got a new coaching staff. So the way that the Cubs are approaching things this year is different than last year, obviously. But I'm keeping my eye on that. I'm just kind of like marking it with a little red flag, not like big red waving flag or anything like that. I'm not super concerned yet, but it is something I'm going to keep an eye on moving forward. Now let's talk about some good. Adolis Garcia, El Bombi is amazing. His home run, his bat flip to tie the game at 2 in the middle innings was just total El Bombi, right? Like, it reminded you of what the Rangers have in Adolis Garcia, and it's once again a massive slap in the face to the St. Louis Cardinals for just letting this guy go, right? And for the Rangers to continue to invest in this guy, and he's paid massive dividends for them. Of course, coming off of the ALCS MVP season in the postseason, coming off of an All-Star appearance last year, a couple All-Star appearances in the past couple of years, actually. He's been electric. He's energetic. He's everything that you would want out of let's call it like it is, a face of this franchise. He's only been around for a couple of years, but there's also quite a few guys who have not been around for a few years. And Adolis was here before any of the big significant offseason signings of Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, John Gray, before they got Jacob deGrom, before they acquired Max Scherzer in a trade. It was Adolis. Adolis was the one that was here. He and Nate Lowe were here at around the same time, but it was more so Adolis became the face of this iteration of Rangers baseball. Maybe that's different now, but it was nice to get that subtle reminder that Adolis Garcia is still that dude. Normally we end the show with Wyatt Watch, but I figure he was a significant part of today's win, so we'll do Wyatt Watch now. Wyatt Langford's final line. He hit 5th in the order today as the DH. 1 for 3, so he got that first major league hit out of the way. He also had a sac fly, so he got his first major league RBI. He walked once and he struck out once. The walk was interesting too, because I believe it was Hector Neris was on the mound at the time, and the pitch clock, I think, ran out on him, so it was basically like an intentional walk. That was kind of funny. But Wyatt Langford drove in the Rangers' first run. He got his first hit, and he was in one of the clutch moments that eventually led to Jonah Heim with the walk-off single, bases loaded in the bottom of the 10th. Wyatt Langford was the guy up leading to Jonah Heim that added some extra pressure on Drew Smyly to, really pitch properly to this guy. Like, Langford is going to be a problem. We didn't see the most damaging performance out of Wyatt today, but those are coming. Guaranteed. Now we got to talk about the hero, Jonah. Now, it's funny too, because this could have been a night to forget for Jonah, if not for Travis Jankowski, who's runner-up for hero of the night. More on him in just a second. But Jonah was also having it really rough at the plate up until that 10th inning walk-off single. He finished 1 for 5 with the 1 RBI, and he struck out twice. Maybe a little bit more pressure was added to him, given that he was hitting out of the 6th hole tonight. Ezekiel Duran got the start at first. They were facing a lefty. Evan Carter was hitting 8th in the order. So they moved Jonah up in the order a little bit. And at that point, he was 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. And you're thinking, oh no, we're in a tough spot if you're a Rangers fan, right? Like, you're worried about what's to come with that. And Jonah paid dividends excellently. Just a soft little hit right in between the outfield and the infield where no one can get to it. And the Rangers got the win. All right, we mentioned Travis Jankowski. We got to hit on him too. Imagine having to come up, pinch hit. Like, you haven't played the whole game. And it had been kind of a long and drawn out game, despite it only being 3-2 at the point that Travis is coming in to pinch hit. It takes a lot to be able to focus in and drive a ball out of the park the way Travis did against easily, in my opinion, the best Cubs reliever that they have. He didn't look like it tonight, unfortunately, in Adbert Alzolay. But Jankowski was very much a big reason as to why the Rangers won this game tonight. He made up for the fact that there was a no call, let's call it. I think you've seen the clip. I've seen the clip enough times that that ball definitely went off of Miles Mastrobuoni's bat, right? So it was a foul ball. So Jonah was justified. Yeah. By the way, I was looking around and Kennedy Landry, who does a fantastic job covering these Rangers for MLB.com, she posted the pool report with umpire Chad Fairchild. This won't take long, so I'll just read through it. Quote, or question, could you explain the ruling on the pass ball in the ninth? Answer, yes, I ruled it a swinging strike. Question, have you had a chance to watch the replay? I have. What are your first thoughts after watching that? Well, I'm just going to stick with what I did on the field. If you've got questions for that, I'm not going to talk about videos. That's not a reviewable play, correct? It is not a reviewable play. So Chad gets off scot-free for one night, it seems like. He doesn't get to make another mistake when the Rangers and Cubs play again on Saturday, though. That's for sure. At the same time, what is Chad supposed to do? Just admit that he's at fault? He basically kind of admitted it without admitting it. He said he watched the video and he wasn't going to answer questions about the video. Seems to me like he made it clear that he made a boo-boo, but it's okay. We forgive him. The Rangers still won. And that's the goal in the end, right? Thankfully, this was not a game where that was the biggest talking point of the game. It's kind of disappeared for the most part. Because if the Cubs had won this game, that would have been the microscopic approach, was to, did he or did he not foul the ball? And if you look at the video evidence, it's very clear that the ball just barely tipped off of the end of the barrel of the bat. Like, we don't have to worry about that anymore. The Rangers just won the game. That's the best part about this whole night, is avoiding all of the controversy and just coming out of it and saying, yeah, we got the win on opening day and we're 1-0. And everything is great to start the season. Extras was fun, of course. Then it led to the walk-off. So a lot of energy throughout the park very early on, of course. Energy started to hit a peak again when Garcia hit that home run. Energy started to dwindle just a bit in the ninth inning after the passed ball. Air quotes for those of you listening. And then, of course, the energy was through the roof when Travis Jankowski tied it up in the bottom of the ninth. And then when Jonah Heim walked it off to win the game. So, really good start for the Rangers in terms of, just kind of reestablishing and firmly establishing who they are and the threat that they are in the West. And I know it's just one game. Maybe it matters all the way at the end of the season when we're done with the 162. But the Astros lost today. The Angels lost today. The A's lost today. As we're recording this right now, is it final with the Mariners? It looks like it is. And the Mariners lost today. In the American League West, the Texas Rangers were the only team to collect a win today. The Astros lost to the Yankees. The A's lost to who did they play? They played the Cleveland Guardians. And the Angels lost to the Baltimore Orioles. And the Angels, they just got slaughtered by the Baltimore Orioles. That was terrible. And then the Mariners lost to the Boston Red Sox at home, too, no less. Quick tangent, by the way. Tyler O'Neill has hit his 5th straight opening day home run. That streak is crazy.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
There are two things that are absolutely true. Grandma loves you, and she would never say no to McDonald's. So treat yourself to a Grandma McFlurry with your order today. It's what Grandma would want. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's for a limited time.
Back to the Rangers. You got the one. Now the win is out of the way, and you can just rest easy tomorrow because you got the ESPN spotlight tonight. This is being recorded late Thursday evening if you're listening, whenever you are. They got all the fanfare, all the festivity, et cetera, and now they get to celebrate by taking a day off tomorrow before setting things up for Saturday against the Cubs. And it looks like there wasn't a aligned starter just yet, but if I'm looking at this correctly on MLB.com, looks like the lefty Cody Bradford is going to get the baseball on Saturday. And I think prior to the game, Bruce Bochy didn't have an answer as to who was going to start for game 2, but it looks like they're giving it to the 26-year-old lefty. So this is a prime opportunity for Cody, especially because this team is decimated as far as the rotation is concerned right now, which leads us to the injuries that were announced today, looking at the final roster. So, Tyler Mahle, Jose Barrero was designated for assignment, so apologies for mentioning that. Tyler Mahle was put on the 60-day injured list. Michael Lorenzen was put on the 10 to 15-day injured list. This due to a neck strain. He's expected to be back before the middle of April, so maybe he'll be back to make a turn of the rotation relatively soon. Jonathan Hernandez is dealing with a lat strain. He wasn't going to start, but he's an important part of the bullpen. This is the interesting one. Max Scherzer. We all kind of wondered, is he going to go on the 60-day IL? Are we going to be without Max Scherzer until the middle of June or even July? 15-day injured list with a herniated disc. Could Mad Max be pushing for a more expedited return? Now, in fairness, the Rangers do say that his expected return is June. But if his expected return was June, why would they put him on only the 15-day injured list and not the 60? Because June is easily 60 days away from this date that we're speaking on right now. So I wonder if there's a chance that Max comes back a little bit sooner than June and then bolsters this rotation and becomes like a nice little shot in the arm relative to what he was when the Rangers traded for him at the deadline last year. Because then at that point, you at least have Max and Nate at the top. I know they're trying to figure things out. Is John Gray going to be ready to go for his turn in the rotation? Is Andrew Heaney going to be ready to go for his turn in the rotation? I think they're still figuring that out. That's probably why Cody is pitching on Saturday. But man, wouldn't that be great if they got Max back sooner rather than later? It would be a huge boost to this team. And then Tyler Mahle, who they acquired in the offseason on a 2-year deal, he's on the 60-day IL, but he's not even expected back until late July. He had that one great season with Cincinnati, and then I believe it was the year after he was traded midseason to the Minnesota Twins. Unfortunately, the return looks a lot better for the Reds than it did for the Twins as a result of, Mahle ultimately getting hurt, and he hasn't pitched all that much in the last couple of seasons, but he could be a big boost, especially if you get the all-star caliber version of Tyler Mahle in the rotation. And then Jacob deGrom on the 60-day IL. The Rangers, I should say, are expecting him to be back by All-Star break or after All-Star break. He had the UCL surgery to repair in his right elbow. So that's your injury update. So the one that we're keeping an eye on is Scherzer, of course. But that's not the only pitcher news that we got to touch on. And this will be the last thing that we hit on before we call it a night. Jordan Montgomery reportedly, and I emphasize reportedly because it is definitely not official yet. I'm also, if you didn't know, I'm based in Arizona, and I work for an Arizona sports station as my day job. So there's a lot of attention around the Diamondbacks around here. And of course, when the news broke about Jordan Montgomery reportedly signing with Arizona, I immediately reacted in two ways. Number one, of course, for my day employer, how does this affect Arizona? But number two, especially looking at the monetary aspect that was reported, why couldn't the Rangers make that move? Why couldn't the Rangers find a way to offer Jordan? It was basically a 1-for-1, $25 million this year, and then a player option for next year for another 25. There's some vesting accolades that Jordan has to hit. Not accolades. He has to hit a certain amount of starts in order to escalate the pay that he's going to get, et cetera, et cetera. I understand there's a TV contract in limbo after this year. There's uncertainty about how these Rangers television broadcasts are going to be distributed after this year. They've at least got it figured out for this year. But if you didn't know, the Diamondbacks are distributing their broadcasts on MLB.TV and on local channels to cable subscribers. You don't think that they're struggling to figure out what their TV situation is too? You don't think it's something that they're worried about? And yet they went out and spent the money on the product. They were the runner-up last year. They went out and overspent in, the outside opinion. And listening to the owner talk about it today on the radio, he was saying that they even went over what they expected to spend. Why couldn't the Rangers have ponied up? They not necessarily ponied up. Maybe that's the wrong choice of words. Why couldn't they have offered something similar to Jordan? Did they not want him back? You would think that they would want him back. He was a big part of their success against the Astros in the ALCS. It was very interesting, especially for a team that needs the rotation depth. And there were plenty of teams that needed the rotational help, and Jordan Montgomery could easily have been that help for a number of teams. It wasn't just the Rangers, but you could have just brought him back. You didn't give up all that much to get him in a trade with the Cardinals. And it had gotten to the point in the offseason where you weren't going to be sacrificing a ton of money. There wasn't a ton of offseason money spent already for this team. Again, I say that with the caveat that they've done a ton of spending in the prior years. Think about how much they're paying Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. They've still got some money to Max Scherzer. They're paying a lot of money to John Gray and Jacob deGrom. So in fairness to the Rangers, I can understand why they weren't big spenders this offseason. But at the same time, you're defending your World Series title. And they didn't really do much aggression this offseason. They've got the young prospects. We're very well aware of that. Wyatt Langford today. But you still can flesh out the depth with some very talented veterans. That could have been an option. And that's pretty much it for this edition of Believe in Texas Rangers. We'll be back after the opening weekend is done, so we'll be reacting to not one, but two more games of Rangers taking on the Cubs, and then we will look ahead to the next series for Texas, which, as I swiftly pull up the Texas Rangers schedule here, as I'm at my workstation right now, I'm just buying time as I open up, before they travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Rays. Rays lost 8-2, by the way, to the Blue Jays at home. Ugh, boy. You wonder about them. So again, we'll be back on Sunday evening to record and then releasing Monday morning for distribution, reacting to the other two games upcoming for this Rangers and Cubs series in opening weekend. And that's going to do it. Till next time, I'm Mitch Vareldis. Believe in the Texas Rangers.
There are two things that are absolutely true. Grandma loves you, and she would never say no to McDonald's. So treat yourself to a Grandma McFlurry with your order today. It's what Grandma would want. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's for a limited time.